March 2026. The U.S. national debt crosses 39 trillion. It hit 38 trillion less than 5 months earlier. March 2026. The U.S. national debt crosses 39 trillion. It hit 38 trillion less than 5 months earlier. That is the speed. $68,902 per second. $413 million per minute. $595 billion per day. And here's the paradox you have been sold backwards. The world's reserve currency is not being protected by its dominance. It is being consumed by it. You have heard the comfortable line for decades: the dollar is too big to fail. No alternative exists. China cannot replace it. We have heard this collapse story before. It is exactly wrong. The collapse does not require a cliff event. It does not require a yuan victory. It is already underway in the math. FY 2020. Net interest on the federal debt totaled $345 billion. FY 2025. It crossed $1 trillion. Second largest line item in the entire federal budget. Larger than national defense. Jay Powell, the Federal Reserve Chair, said it plainly. Quote, "The level of the debt is sustainable, but the path is not." We need to address that sooner or later. Sooner is better than later. Economists call this R equals G. Real interest rates now match real growth. In plain English, the interest is now growing as fast as the economy that has to pay it. That is the death spiral condition. Here is what nobody teaches. 1965. French Finance Minister Valéry Giscard d'Estaing coined a phrase, exorbitant privilege, his complaint. America could print the world's money and pay nothing for the privilege. 1971. Nixon closes the gold window. The dollar floats free. 1974. The petrodollar deal with Saudi Arabia. Oil priced in dollars forever. Each move locked the world deeper into dollars. Each move let Washington borrow cheaper. And here is the trap. Cheap borrowing enabled deficits no other country could have run. Those deficits are the very thing now destroying the dominance that made them possible. The privilege is digging its own grave. Now the math. Hold on for the numbers. FY 2025. Federal debt held by the public hits 30.3 trillion. 100% of GDP. CBO projects 107% by 2029. 156% by 2055. Net interest from 3.2% of GDP today to 6.3% by 2054. Past the previous historical peak set in 1991. Rising interest accounts for more than 100% of deficit growth through 2054. Read that twice. The One Big Beautiful Bill adds 4.1 trillion or more through 2034. Make its provisions permanent, and debt hits 199% of GDP by 2054. Stabilizing this requires sustained fiscal surpluses no democracy has ever maintained. Let that sit there for a second. 2022. The Biden administration freezes $300 billion in Russian central bank assets. The dollar becomes a weapon. Use it once, and every other country sees the gun. Russia builds SPFS. China builds CIPS. Parallel rails to SWIFT, brick by brick. The sanctions meant to enforce dollar power are funding the escape infrastructure. That escape infrastructure will one day make those sanctions toothless. Now meet the exit architects. November 2013. China's U.S. Treasury holdings peak at 1.317 trillion. July 2025. Down to 730.7 billion. A 45% cut. Simultaneously, China's central bank buys gold for 11 straight months through September 2020. 5. 74.06 million troy ounces. 283 billion in metal, the dollar's reserve share. 71% in 1999. 57.3% in 2024. 12 points gone. Quietly, steadily, and the petrodollar's foundation is cracking from below. 1 in 4 cars sold globally in 2025 is electric. By 2030, 2 and 5. Less oil traded. Fewer dollar transactions. The petrodollar recycling mechanism quietly starves. This is not a cliff. It is a slow ramp, brick by brick. Now the collision. Stabilizing the debt at 3% of GDP by 2035 requires $7.5 trillion of deficit reduction over the next decade. That target has been endorsed by leaders from President Obama to Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. We are nowhere near it. The math demands surpluses. Washington cannot deliver. The privilege removed the discipline any other country would have faced years ago. Mathematical inevitability meets political impossibility. The Fed's own 2025 Dollar Bull report offers this caveat. Quote, absent any large-scale lasting disruptions which damage the value of the US dollar as a store of value or medium of exchange and simultaneously bolster the attractiveness of dollar alternatives, the dollar will likely remain the world's dominant international currency for the foreseeable future. Read the caveat. Absent disruptions. The disruptions are no longer absent. They are happening now. Now translate this to your kitchen table. Higher mortgage rates. Higher car loans. Pricier groceries, sneakers, electronics. Social Security's retirement trust fund is less than 7 years from insolvency. Beneficiaries face a 24% benefit cut. Rising debt cuts your income growth by 16% through 2055. Stronger crowd-out makes it 66%. Former Fed analyst Mayra Rodriguez-Valladares put it this way, quote, American investors, and frankly global ones, would be tremendously hurt if central banks and markets started to pull away from the dollar. The best thing that investors can do is monitor if indeed there is a movement toward de-dollarization and to diversify investments into different currencies. Return to where we started. Another $68,902 has accrued every second you have been watching. The collapse is not coming. It is the present tense, and the bill comes to you. The math eliminates real options. Diversify, document, prepare. Because the privilege is digging its own grave and you are standing at the edge.